more of in this world. So what I'll do is, in this talk, I'll be highlighting elements of the book, which is conceived to blow your mind. That's how it's a curated selection of astrophysics content. And then, because it is technically a book talk, I will read from the book at the end. Okay? Just so we get a little bit of reading. Story time. Yes, okay. Then afterwards, we're setting up 2 microphones for Q&A, because I care about what you think, because I'm trying to communicate with you. You should see the Q&A, think of it as a fundamental part of what this evening is, rather than, oh, I got to run and drive home fast, you know. Versus Los Angeles, you're not driving fast, okay? I was in like a Yugo or something, and I was ahead of a Ferrari to my right. And then I thought, Los Angeles is a great sort of wasteland of horsepower in cars. Everyone's going at 30 miles an hour at most. So you just chill, I'm here, you're here, we'll make a night of it. So just thanks for coming out, and we'll get started. Just, if you're not in a hurry, there's like other stuff you can read, right? Like that book in the upper right, that it weighs like 27 pounds or something. It's a very heavy, it's the entire universe, but this is the one we're featuring tonight, and that's the book in its full form. So let's just get straight in this. Part of the book is try to get you accustomed and comfortable with what science is and how and why it works. And let me just start out. We are told, it's basically true, there's some subtleties about this, that we have 5 senses, okay? And we're taught this from very early on. And so I've got 5 senses here. So you can see and hear and smell and touch and taste. All right. Now, the sense that is most valuable to us is the one that brings in information from the farthest distance. And that would be sight. Because you can see like across the universe. Next, here, you can hear from great distances, but you can only hear where there's a medium. Okay, now science fiction movies don't know this, apparently. There's sound in space in the movies. And then you can smell at a distance as well, but not as far as you can hear if the sound is loud enough. And of course, touch and taste is connected to your body. So these are senses that allow us to figure out what is going on in our environment. They're the conduits through which the world communicates to us what it's doing. And so now I can ask you, does anyone here have what they think is like a 6th sense? Just raise your hand. Do you think you have a 6th sense? Okay, that's a lot of you. Like more over here than over there. So, if you have a 6th sense, it's usually like you know stuff before others know it, or you have some intuition about something that other people don't. And fine, I'm not even going to argue with you about whether you have a 6th sense. What I want to do is show off the fact that in science, we have dozens of senses. Dozens of senses. The advance of science has told us that the 5 biological senses of the human body are rather feeble and incomplete. If you want to know what's really going on outside of our body, you hold your human senses aside and bring out equipment to make the measurements. And everything here is stuff we cannot otherwise know without help. So that science did not actually achieve any kind of meaningful maturity until we figured out how to remove the human 5 senses from that equation. Just look at it. Now, there is stuff here technically that you could detect, but it's like, for example, X-rays, gamma ray, ionizing radiation. We can detect ionizing radiation after you're dying of cancer from it, okay? So, that, I don't know if you count that as having ionizing detector ionizing radiation detectors as part of your body. So, but we are quite proud of this. And this is what defines modern science. I'll give you an example of going beyond our senses. In a very early experiment, this guy, William Herschel, brilliant guy. Isaac Newton first put white light through a prism, colors came out the other side, and then he put the colors back through the prism, and they turned white again. It's like, that's kind of freaky. How do you have red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, add them together, and you get white? The artist just freaked out. But it works with light. Everybody knew this. Herschel came after Newton, and he's a scientist. And he said to himself, I wonder if the different colors of light have different temperatures. And it's like, whoa, who would even think that? Half of doing great science is coming up with the right question. If your question was, I wonder what kind of cheese the moon is made out of, that's a messed up question, right? Maybe not know that in advance. You don't always know if your questions are flawed. But the most brilliant scientists are the ones that have questions that convey the deepest insight. So William Herschel got out thermometers, laid them one by one into each of those colors, and then he needed what we call a control thermometer. You need one, just stick it outside of the 7 colors, then that'll just get the room temperature, okay? So he does this. He lays down the thermometers, and just on the other side of the red part of the spectrum, he just puts the thermometer down. It's not in any of those colors. And you know what he noticed? The temperature that registered, the thermometer that registered the highest temperature was his control thermometer. That thermometer rose higher than all others. And he's freaking out. He double checks his experiment. He's trying to figure this out. And he is forced by the data to write these 2 sentences. I conclude that the full red falls still short of the maximum heat, which perhaps lies even a little beyond visible refraction. In this case, radiant heat will be at least partly, if not chiefly consist of, if I may be permitted the expression, invisible light. That is to say, of rays coming from the sun that have such a momentum as to be unfit for vision. William Herschel discovered infrared light with those 2 sentences. He knew to set up the experiment, he knew to ask the question, he knew to interpret his results. He discovered something in this world that human physiology had no experience at all. We had no idea it was there. And it turns out the universe is full of things that are trying to talk to us with all parts of the spectrum that we cannot otherwise see. So he discovers infrared. On the other side of violet is what? Ultraviolet. Can't see that either. That's one of these things you can detect it later after you are sunburned and have skin cancer. But while it's there, you don't know it's there. And this goes in each direction. There's we have infrared, microwaves, radio waves. We have ultraviolet X-rays, gamma rays. We have machines that exploit this for medical purposes. And objects in the universe that talk to us only through those bands of light. You cannot claim to know the world unless you invoke all these other senses that our machines are giving to us. So I've had people say, well, science doesn't know everything. How do you, there could be something there you're not measuring. Okay, go ahead, use your 6th sense. Come back to me when, Yeah, there could be something we don't detect yet, but we're doing pretty good, all right? That's all I'm saying. Not only that, we've got this guy, Antoine van Leeuwenhoek. So he perfects a form of the microscope, and he says to himself, let me get a drop of pond water, And look at this pond water under my microscope. He has the